Jonathan's baby girl.
Yeah, he is baby girl.
I feel like if I was going to play this game, I don't really know how I would do it. You know, like if I was like a if I was a castaway, Tom Hanks style in Samoa, I don't know how I would do it. I feel like I want to imagine myself being kind of loyal to people, but that kind of gets you hurt.
Yeah, it's tough because, you know, you have to make big moves to impress the jury, but at the same time, you have to like have people you can trust, because otherwise, like, you know, you might as well get voted off first.
I don't actually know what a big move is. It feels like big move is just kind of a catch-all term for someone making a decision and winning people over onto that decision.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is that after a while, the jury will get bored if like one alliance picks off everyone else. So they want like some variety. They want someone to betray their alliance member. They want someone to play an idol. You know, that type of thing. But it definitely is very dependent on the situation.
Would you be a lawyer? Like, would you like actually be a ride or die?
I think so. I mean, the thing is, I can't ever
I don't
imagine...
think you have it in you.
Oh, okay.
I don't think you have it in you, yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, I don't think I would go on Survivor. I would go on something like Traitors, because, like, Traitors, you get to sleep in a bed. You know, Survivor, like, too many physical challenges, too much stress. Like, you know, you're starving, you don't have any water. So yeah, I think I would if I have food and water and in a bed, then I can stay loyal.
You're like, if I am going to be in a game show, I need the princess treatment.
Exactly.
I need to be able to be horizontal for a bit.
I mean, absolutely. Yeah. Like, being horizontal is very important to me. You know, you love to be diagonal, so maybe you should apply to be on Survivor.
I am diagonal. I am someone who knows how to get from one elevation to another. And what the fuck you know about that, huh?
Wow, we're already picking on the girl who had surgery 2 months ago. You know, oh, you can't get off the couch. Oh,
I picked on you 3 hours into you having surgery.
Look, I think I could be loyal on Survivor, because the thing about it is, like, I would be cerebral about it. I was like, I need to be loyal in order to win. So yeah.
I just like, the thing is, like, you're a very nice person, right? Like I just don't see you betraying anyone, and I also don't see you like advocating for someone to betray somebody else.
Well, it's interesting because, like, there's the Survivor board game, or whatever you want to call it, and I've played that one time, and I did betray some people. I did say some lies in that. I think it's easier if you're playing a game and you're like, this is kind of outside the context of real life. Of course, like, the lines get blurry in Survivor because they're playing for $1 million. Well, in Australia, they're playing for less than that, but like, they're playing for a lot of money, and like, their decisions have real life consequences. But at the end of the day, they can be like, it's a game. That's why I lied to you.
You're saying that, like, if money is on the line, your ethics will go out the window.
I mean, it seems to be true on the TV show. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was true for both of us.
I struggle to imagine myself lying to people for like very long in this, mainly because, like, it's a physical thing, right? These people are like malnourished. They don't sleep very well. They're like in these difficult situations. Like, it takes a strong mind and a very flexible mind to be able to lie for a duration. And I just don't think I could do that.
Yeah, I think the tricky thing is, at a certain point, you kind of have to lie, because, like, you're lying to someone, or you just tell them to their face, like, you're getting voted off.
I guess I lied to you this earlier today. You told me how I was doing. I said, I'm good. Deep down, I'm just doing okay.
That's one of the lies that we all tell ourselves every day. So maybe we have more experience lying than we think.
Midwest Survivor. Oh, you're hungry? No.
Yeah.
I think I am a little bit of a castaway, lost at sea, a coconut being shifted in the tidal waves of the South Pacific. Because I am just a simple dove. I'm a simple bird. I'm a simple coconut. AP
Wow.
in the show Dove Weather. And I was lost. I was lost without any sort of direction, any sort of feminine force in this podcast. And then I landed on a beach. Then I was picked up by a soft hand. And then I was struck by a machete. And I was cracked open and dranked in because even though that I was a simple coconut, the true castaway, the true survivor found me again. Because that's right, the big one, Marcy, is back on the mic.
Yep, I'm here. You can't get rid of me that easily.
And I tried.
Yeah.
I locked the door. She could get through doors.
Yeah, you're like, I just podcasted about Begonia. Now I'm going to do real life Begonia, lock Marcy in the basement.
I would never. Besides, I don't have a basement.
Yeah. The only basement we have is...
That's the only thing holding me back.
Yeah, the only basement we have here is the one with the laundry and the ghost toilet, so...
Yeah, that's a real Midwestern survivor. Will you poop in the basement toilet with no walls?
But yeah, it's not just me who's back. Nomi's back too. She's right next to me. You probably can't hear her because she's sleeping, but I'll put the mic right next to her mouth just for a second, just in case. And she moved her head away.
She said a slur that I needed to edit out. Welcome back to the pod, Marcy.
Thank you.
I missed you.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
I miss being in your apartment, being slowly suffocated by my cat allergies.
Yeah, when you came in, Nomi was confused or I don't know what she was, but part of it was like you had like a cave light on your head, and yeah, she was like ready to pounce if she needed to.
What are we talking about today?
We are talking about fuck it. We said we weren't going to mention it until the end, but I'm going to mention it now. It's our 2-year anniversary.
Oh!
So that means that we're going to talk about Survivor, but not just any Survivor. We're talking about Australian Survivor.
Aussie.
Oh. Yeah, I did not like that when they did that at the Chicago Sky game. But when someone gives you a layup, you just gotta.
That's just because you hate the global South.
Australia is the only country we're going to be racist against in this episode.
Yeah. If you're a kangaroo, you better fucking hop out of here.
Yeah, we're talking about Australian Survivor for a few different reasons. But Australian Survivor had a historic season this year, Australia versus the World, where they brought in 7 of the biggest Australian Survivor contestants ever against players from all different kinds of Survivor shows across the world, from the U.S. Survivor, New Zealand, you got some France in there, Canadian France to be exact, South Africa, and Finland.
Finland, yeah.
Yeah. And, a lot of people listening might be like, wait, there's more than one Survivor show? And yeah, of course, you got to get that globalism everywhere. So we had Survivor start in the U.S. in 2000, and then
9/11 happened.
I mean, pretty much, yeah. Like, you can see that the first 3 seasons of the U.S. Survivor had the highest viewers, and then 9/11 happened, and then viewership started going down.
Then we lost something, didn't we? And then a couple of years later, we have this guy be elected mayor, right? Courtesy of voters like me are underrepresented.
Yeah. Congratulations to Mom Donnie, who got elected mayor while I was out. Love to see it. But yeah, basically we've gotten Australia Survivor and a bunch of other countries have started their own shows. And Australian Survivor has really rose up in the ranks and many people think it's actually better than U.S. Survivor now. So I made my co-host watch 5 episodes of it, so now he can be an expert on whether it actually is better.
Yeah, she strapped me down to the Ludovico device, eyes propped open, watching just Australians be Australian. And like, she didn't have to do that. I like Australia. I'm like an Australia head.
Yeah, I found
I'm
out
a
today
hoon.
that you were thinking about moving there for a bit.
Well, I was thinking of going there for like an extended duration, but not moving there. I could never live in Australia. Ain't no Mexicans there. Ain't no Latinos there.
Yeah, it would be kind of funny if you moved to Australia and then you got casted in an Australian Survivor, and like I hadn't seen you like in a year, and then the first time I see you is like when I'm watching Australian Survivor, and it's like, hey, why does that guy look so familiar?
You're like, the massive cranium on that man's head is familiar to me.
But we watched 5 episodes specific to one person's arc on the show, and that is Kirby Bentley.
Oh,
She was introduced in the 2024 season, Titans versus Rebels, and she had such a good showing on that season that they brought her back the next year on Australia versus the World, one of the 7 people to represent her country. And Kirby, there's a lot of reasons why we're talking about Kirby, one of which is that she's queer, and you don't get a ton of queer people on Australian Survivor, especially queer women. And also, she's a footballer, she's coached, and she's a master strategist.
and she's like also has some of her background is part of the tribes of the West Australian states. She's also like a miner. She literally worked at a mine. And also check this out, incredible teeth. Like the whole duration of the episodes that I saw, not a blemish on those teeth. Those teeth were bright.
Yeah, one thing I really appreciate about Kirby is that she's very forward on being the first ever Aboriginal player representing Australia on the game. She wore a shirt with the Aboriginal flag on it. And in the Australia versus the World, she named the merge tribe after a word in her language that
translates to deadly.
Yeah, and she talked about how that could be deadly good, could be deadly bad. And she's an activist. Like if you follow her on Instagram, you see her at events. And especially, we're going to talk a bit later about like how white Australian Survivor is and
how much you like that.
how homogenous it can often be. I appreciate that Kirby like puts her politics forward and isn't afraid to make that a big part of herself.
Kirby is such a awesome figure to have seen in the episodes that I watched. She is a very strong challenge player. She is in the first in the Titans vs Rebels. There was a section where they were just holding weight. They were just holding buckets of like rocks at an angle, and she was just going at it. She was just holding it. She's such a like strong challenge player, and I really like that because when you see her at the camp, you see this side where she's like, actually, I'm just good at all of this. I will talk the ears off of people. I will, I will make the hearts of people flutter so they like me, and I'll stick to it in such a way that she is a survivor. She has that like inner strength that is so cool to see, and she's just like a real ass person.
Yeah, I think one thing that's really interesting about her journey is like she didn't watch the show before she went on. Like she's not a super fan like so many other contestants. So she learned the game as she lived it. And the fact that she did so well like immediately, I think is just like a credit to like how cool she is. And especially like on Titans versus Rebels, that's like a season where things became very fluid because people wanted to play the game in a way where they didn't have to stick to just one alliance. And she was able to really thrive in that environment for a very long time. And I'll just say there will be spoilers for these 2 seasons of Australian Survivor, Titans versus Rebels, and Australia versus the World, especially pertaining to Kirby herself. So yeah, I would say watch those seasons if you want to stay unspoiled. But also, I would say with Survivor, it's kind of really hard to stay completely unspoiled unless you like lock yourself in a bunker and just like watch every single season that's ever aired in the order. So.
Or you're me and has little interest in it and has successfully never seen a full episode of Survivor unless motivated by somebody else.
Yeah, because we watched one episode of Survivor together before this U.S. Survivor, but that was, well, I'll just say that you were in a state where you probably were just like, there's something on TV, I'm watching it. That's all that matters right now.
Yeah, I lost a Grammy and I was just kind of like in this shattered space.
Yeah, you lost it to Dochi though. So, but yeah, I mean, for me, Australia versus the World was the first Australian season I saw, so I got spoiled like on a lot of things just from watching that. And one of the reasons why we're talking about Kirby is that her story is pretty self-contained. She's only been in 2 seasons, but she's already become one of the most popular people on the show. So what was kind of like your first impression of Australian Survivor? Because you've already told me a bit like how cool Kirby is, but I kind of want to know what your thoughts were on the show overall.
Look, I'm in Australia, boo. I just like Australia. I think the Australian people have this fun demeanor about them that like reminds me a lot of like Mexican culture. So like there's this concept of like mateship, like just being like you get along with people. The idea is that you want to get along with people. And that's really fun to me. And so like I'm bringing in this knowledge of Australia and this history that I have with Australia. And also like I love Australian humor. Auntie Donna on Netflix, wonderful. I listen to a lot of Australian podcasts too throughout the years. And all I can say is that Australians seem to be very jovial, fun people. And then once I see the Survivor complex added to them, where it's just like, we're laughing. Oh, I hate that guy. His name? I'll spell it out for you. It's DIVD. And I just love seeing that like that shaken, that stirred like feeling of my expectations and then not knowing anything about Survivor. And I really like that. I really liked seeing that. And also the Australian accent is just so fun.
Yeah. I remember when my sister was visiting me and I was watching Australian Survivor. And basically every time someone said something, she would just repeat it back in an Australian accent just because she thought it was funny.
Drop it. Come on, drop an Australian accent.
I don't know if I can do it.
Come on, just do it.
Okay, let me
Come on, mate.
This one's for when now, mate. I don't know. Like
Look, I can't do it either.
Yeah, I am notoriously bad at accents in general. But like one thing I was telling my girlfriend is that like there's just like little funny things that happen where like someone will, instead of saying we need to save our butts or we need to save our butt, like someone will say we need to save our butt cheeks. I love how much they say reckon. Like, do you reckon? Like they say that anytime anyone says like we should vote for this person, and it's like a very like it's a very non-committal way of just kind of like continuing the conversation without having to say yes or no to something. So
my other thoughts on like the Australian side of stuff is that I like Jonathan way more than like Jeff Probst. What's his name? Jonathan Lapalgilia.
Or JLP to the real one.
Lapalgilia is so much better than like Probst because like Probst to me just feels like he's there because it's like he wants to like torture people. Like he wants to taste human flesh. But due to the convention of society and laws, he can't do that. So the closest he gets to is making fun of just people almost drowning.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, JLP is definitely, I would say, in the Survivor community more popular than Jeff. I think there's a host of reasons why. Like JLP, he's not an executive producer of the show. He has less sway on what happens compared to Jeff, who is the king of Survivor. Like Jeff is the reason why all the unpopular twists happen on the US Survivor. So whenever anything stupid happens, people take it out on Jeff. If something stupid happens on Australian Survivor, like an episode happening without anyone being voted out, that's not Jonathan's fault. He's just there saying funny things. So
Jonathan's baby girl.
Yeah, he is baby girl.
And I will take up the sword to defend him. I loved seeing him in both seasons. Jonathan was in the middle of a challenge where, like in Australia versus the world, everybody needed to hold 15% of their weight up. And Parvati was dominating, just straight up going berserk on that shit. And Jonathan was like, she's just meditating. She's just breathing it in and breathing out. And I'm just like, Jeff Probst would talk about like how like she has an inner beast that comes out to the smell of human fear or whatever. And I just like Jonathan more. Even it just feels like also like people in the survivors that are the castaways that are around him like him more too. Like people would regularly say "see you next time" to Jonathan, and I ain't never seen anybody say that to Jeff.
I think Jonathan definitely feels more conversational with the contestants than Jeff does, where it's easier for him to make jokes and easier for him to make people laugh on the show. Like by the last third of the season, I feel like a lot of the contestants are like anticipating the joke he's going to make at the end of an episode, and then sometimes they'll be like, "That was the best one yet."
Yeah, because Jonathan is charismatic. Jeff Probst would give his soul to Dracula for the sake of immortality and to bathe in human blood.
Yeah, I mean, not to get too much into like facial stuff, but you can tell that Jeff's had some surgery, so he's definitely trying to look younger, which sometimes makes him look even older.
Look, you could say that. You know, I've never had a single surgery in my life.
Never, ever.
No, you're right. I got the bitch removed. My other, like, Kirby. Kirby, like, is also, like, just seen as a threat almost immediately. And, like, people like her, though. And, like, there's this language that I started picking up. Because even though that, like, Kirby has never played the game or watched it, she was using the same words as other people. Like game. Everyone has a game. Oh, you ruined my game. Oh, my game is now shattered because this person has an immunity idol. Or like the other things like big moves or like all these like language.
Like threat.
Yes. And I like that Kirby is clearly so like socially like capable and smart that she immediately grabs onto that like language and just uses it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting with Kirby because I think that her rivalry with Ferris really anchors the Titans versus Rebels season. And I really like that relationship because it's not just a simple thing where like they're always out to get each other. Like they call it like Ferris like calls Kirby like an older sister to him, and basically like sometimes they're going after each other, sometimes they're like best friends, and like you know Ferris says he uses Kirby as a shield, but at the end of the day, like Ferris decides that in order for him to win, he thinks he needs to take out Kirby.
And they're so dramatic.
Yeah.
they're so dramatic. Like, especially in Tense vs. Rebels, there were so many like just conversations at the council where people are just like, "Oh, I hate this person. What if we vote out everybody else but me?" And I that something about that like felt so. It really did feel like so sibling rivalry amongst everyone. Where like if you're sitting around a table and you're just kind of like make a snide joke at like your brother or your sister.
Yeah. It kind of makes me think about, because I've seen the 2 Australian Traders seasons, and this is relevant because Kirby is actually going to be in the 3rd Australian Traders season. Looking forward to seeing her on that. I feel like on that show, it's even more like that, where they're like, you know, oh, you reckon this person has been exhibiting traders behavior? And I feel like there's something about the Australians where, you know, they're just, it's very easy for them to just like have that kind of jokey, like, oh yeah, I just want to get rid of this person dialogue.
Would you get rid of me? If like let's just say we're in it. We're castaways. Let's just say I brought you some like coconuts. You know, you were like horizontal, just chilling out, taking in the sun.
Well, the thing about it is, I feel like, you know, we would be 2 people with a pre-existing relationship, and I would want to keep you around because like we have that connection already. So I'll be able to trust you more than a lot of other people on the island.
But then you would be like, but he's not a gamer like me. He doesn't have a game like I do.
Well,
he couldn't slay a spire. He couldn't slay anything. He doesn't dress well either, so he doesn't even slay.
I mean, I think I would at least want to keep you until the end. The thing I would get worried about is you're really good at talking. So you'd be
True.
You'd be good at the final tribal council. You'd be good at convincing people to give you the money.
I don't know. Like I don't know. Like I might be good at like chit chat, but something about this show and something I've talked to you about is that it seems like no one talks about anything else other than I have a sharp knife and I want to put it in the back of these 5 people.
Yeah, definitely. Australian Survivor, the edit is very focused on like the game talk of like, this is who I want to get out, this is who's trying to get me out, etc. I think the early days of US Survivor was more based on like the actual survival aspect of like, you know, oh, we're running out of food, we need to have someone make the fire, I'm getting pissed off at this person because they're just fucking annoying. And I think that like the new era of US Survivor, which is basically 2021 onwards, that like the critique of the new era is like, oh, it's too focused on like the advantages, like on who's trying to get this idol, who's going on a journey to get this. So I think like different eras of different shows like focus more on different aspects. So I think it is possible that you might like some of the older US seasons more, where they're not just talking about like, this is who I'm trying to get out. Like the phrase that fans use is game bots. People seem too much like game bots if like you're not really seeing much of their personality beyond what they're trying to do in the game.
Okay, do you like it though? Do you like hearing the like, oh, well, I don't know if I like Shawnee. What if we just, Shawnee's not that great of a player. What if we just, drop kick her into the fire at the council?
Like, honestly, yes, I do like it. Like, I think so, I like both the US and Australian Survivor. I get annoyed at like the very didactic takes about like, oh, this one's good and this one's bad. With Australia specifically, I really did enjoy both of these seasons. Australia versus the World being my first experience with it. I like it. So one of the episodes we watched was episode 2, which is the episode where it's the first time that the Australia tribe goes to tribal council. And I love that like the second half of the episode was just pretty much all strategy talk. That's not something you would really see on US Survivor. Like they had the immunity challenge very early on in the episode.
I look, okay, so like what do you like about it though? Like doesn't it feel like it's just like Look, I only saw a handful of episodes. I don't know what it's generally like, but I just want to know from your little old heart, what do you like about this kind of just general, like, conversation about, like, I hate this guy, I hate that guy, I hate this woman, I hate that woman. You know?
Well, once you know the characters more, there's a bit more nuance in it where, like, one thing I found really interesting about that episode was that Kirby was leading a lot of the strategy, but it never turned back against Kirby in that episode. And there were these moments that played against expectation for me where you had George, who was kind of caught in the middle. You know, he knew that people were going after him, but he was in alliance with David, but he was also going against David. And you had him, David, and Kirby. And David was basically asking, like who's the person who's leading the charge against me? And George said, she's right here, and pointed at
that
Kirby.
was honestly incredible.
Yeah.
So cunty.
Yeah.
Absolutely deep in the gutter cunty. I love that.
Yeah.
And then Kirby's reaction is just like, smile.
Yeah, and then the conversation between Kirby and George afterwards where she's like, that's bad for my game. And he's like, kind of just shrugging and just being like, you know, had to say what I had to say. So I think part of it is that, like, especially with these outsized characters, it's just fun to see them go head to head against each other. Because, like, you know, I think a lot of people expected David to do better on the show because he's the golden god. But when you go up against people like Kirby who know, like, how to get out a big threat like him, then it becomes much more exciting of, like, seeing, like, oh, are they going to be able to get out of this? Especially with, I like the way that they edit that tribal council where there's a lot of whispering going on, and you actually get the subtitles of what they're saying, which is different than a lot of US Survivor episodes where you see people whispering, but you don't hear what they're saying. And it just looks like a big clusterfuck. And seeing how the vote shifted multiple times within that tribal council, where if they really wanted to, they could have gotten out Kirby right there, because Kirby only had like 3 people, Kirby, Shani, and Sarah. If the other 4 voted for Kirby, they could have gotten rid of her immediately. But instead, they couldn't trust each other. David and George couldn't trust each other. They changed the target multiple times. And then it just ended up being George was the only person who voted for Janine, and it ended up being a tie and then a revote. The first time I watched that, I was like, wow, okay, I see why people like Australian Survivor so much right now.
It is messy.
Yeah.
It is 100% messy. In this way, I think it might be like a nice like outlet for like wanting a little bit of drama in your life, but like not wanting the consequences of drama in your life. Because I have never been in any situation where I needed to like convince people to hate somebody else. Maybe it's because I'm a saint. Maybe it's because I'm a lover. Maybe it's because I'm like chill. But like I mean, even watching this, I was just like, I wonder what it would be like to try to convince someone to hate, like to like vote against somebody or effectively hate somebody. And I was just like, maybe there's a Machiavellian in me.
Yeah. It's interesting because in one of your voice memos, you were like, wait, are they like sleeping shoulder to shoulder and then they vote each other out? And the answer is yes. Like, you know, sometimes they cuddle with each other and then they vote each other out the next day.
Which is like, like when I figured that out, I felt so negative towards everyone. Like, you're sharing a bed with somebody, and like, okay, look, it's a game, sure, but like you're seeing a side of people that like you don't really get to see in like normal life, and then you're just kind of like, yeah, but my game's more important. I just don't like. I have no clue. Like, maybe it's just I'm a sensitive guy, you know? I just know that I could not like sleep shoulder to shoulder with somebody and then the next day be like, hey, I woke up early to sharpen this blade and I did etch your name in it. Would you please would you please just back into it quickly?
And I think that's what makes the jury aspect of this game so interesting. And that's another thing that you had no idea was part of the game. That at the end of the day, the jury is the one, the jury of people that you voted off. They are the ones who vote on who wins the game. And because you have to like make the jury happy, you have to like make them feel like you didn't just like stab them in the back, or if you did, that your game was so good that it deserves the $500,000 or $1 million, depending on what season of what show it is.
Who's the hottest people in these seasons?
Yeah, pivot to horny. I mean, like Kirby's definitely very hot.
What do you like about that? What do you like about Kirby as a figure?
I want Kirby to sit on my face. I think that's definitely part of it. But also, I love seeing Kirby talk to Parvati, who is like obviously extremely hot. And I think
and who is like your little crush.
She's everyone's little crush.
I walked in to Marcy with a rose saying she loves me. She loves me now.
Like in Survivor, you don't often get like queer female relationships. So I think it was extremely exciting for Parvati and Kirby to get together and have a little flirt game in Australia versus the world.
Okay, but maybe it's because I'm not sapphic, but like there was hardly any flirtation happening.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, but they were like talking about, you know, being married, like, oh, am I the jealous girlfriend? And you know, Parvati was like, oh, I know the flirt game. I know what's happening here. I think, yes, it wasn't as explicit as, you know, when you see a man and a woman cuddle together on the bamboo in some of the American seasons. But
nice.
Look, the thing is,
infidelity, shit.
We are used to crumbs, so we will take anything at this point. But like the only other real example is in Micronesia when Natalie Bolton asks Parvati how, like, she asks her about her flirt game, and then she says, like, does that translate to real life? And the key line, how does that resonate in the bedroom? So, you know, that...
I mean, that's coquettish.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
100% coquettish.
Like, Parvati and Erica are two of our only queer female winners. So, yeah, we'll take whatever we can get.
So, is Kirby and Parvati like 1-to-1 up top for you?
No, I mean, the thing is, like, Parvati, I've had a crush on her for years now. Kirby is like a new crush. But I'm also very attracted to Sarah. I go for the model type. Sue me.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, there's definitely hot people on Titans versus Rebels, but you either didn't see some of them or you didn't see much of them. Like, I really wanted more of Viola. She was a bodybuilder. She got voted off pretty early on, and she was in alliance with Valeria, who is the Russian model who mispronounces tortilla. They're both very hot. Like, Valeria wears some really sexy outfits on the jury, and then everyone's like, ooh.
Sarah, when she showed up as the first like jury member, she looked stunning.
Yeah, definitely.
But like some of these, like I'm bad with faces, right? I couldn't figure out who Sarah was until the second episode that I saw, and like some of these people, like Janine. Janine could like assault me with an aluminum bat in the Magnificent Mile.
Yeah.
And at the police lineup, I wouldn't be able to like point her out because I thought she was two people at one point.
I mean, I think you are at a disadvantage that you watch episodes 2, 5, and 6. So they're introduced in episode 1, and then I mean, I think Sarah, I did note that you kind of missed some of the important Sarah story in between episodes 2 and 5, where you kind of miss her betrayal of Kirby. because they're working together in episode 2, and then episode 5, Kirby's like, I need to get rid of Sarah because she's betrayed me.
I think up top, look, I think Kirby has this energy that is so like magnetic. I think she's beautiful, and I think she's also like just a very interesting person. In the after shows that I saw, like she just has this like extremely fun personality. I don't know if I would like to hang out with her and be her friend, or like throw a ring on that finger. But what I do know is that I want to be around her.
Yeah.
And some of these other folks, I just don't feel that way. Even at the most like amoeba level of like horny, like I don't really feel that way. Like I think David's a beautiful man, absolutely beautiful, great body, great face, and arrogant in a fun way.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I would want to be with him.
Yeah, I mean, he's so egotistical that I don't think it would be very fun to hang out with him, because like he would just be in his own little world. Of course, I know part of that's like a TV character, and that's probably going to get toned down when he's the host of the show next season. But yeah, he definitely would not be my first choice to hang out with.
And on the like male side of things, I just no one really scratched my itch. The same thing with like on the women's side of things. Not a lot of them like scratch, my inner itch.
Well, I'm sorry that your male gaze wasn't satisfied by the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely horniness can come into play in Survivor when you're watching it. And I do wish there was more like lesbian podcasts about Survivor, because there's a lot of straight people talking about Survivor. There's a good amount of gay people, gay men.
So many gay men.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I did just the tiniest bit of research. I did Survivor. I typed in Survivor into a singular podcast app. So many gay men are talking about this show.
I mean, like, you can take it to the other two, which my girlfriend and I just watched together, where the first season they made a joke about like, oh yeah, Survivor's just for straight people. And then all the gay fans got mad. And then like in the later seasons, they have all the gay characters watching Survivor because they realize like, oh, gay people love this show.
Yeah. Then I only bring up horniness because I think there's just something interesting about seeing these people kind of play out this very like both the femme fatale and the kind of like lovable asshole archetype, because everyone needs to like damage everyone else at some point. There's only one sole survivor, right?
True.
And so like I think there's just something attractive to a lot of people in a safe way to be like attracted to that. And because I was looking around online, and what I saw is people talk about, the strategy and so on, but then people talk about how attractive people are to everybody else. And because these are effectively normal people, they're not superstars. They're not out here like walking the red carpet of the newest and biggest movie, right?
Although some of them are supermodels.
They're supermodels, of course. Some of these folks, though, are just like regular ass people, and I do like how open people are about talking about how horny they are, especially you. Like, and this is when I want to launch into this mythical figure that you have been yabbing at my ear for like years now. What do you like about Parvati? Am I even pronouncing that?
Parvati.
So,
I mean, in if you look to your left, you'll see her on my bookshelf. Nice Girls Don't Win. Good book.
Signed.
Yeah, signed. So I think she's just extremely charismatic. She is really good at like reading people socially, and that's part of why she's so good at the game. And it's just really fun to watch someone like do so well at a social game. And she's aware of how sexy she is, and she's able to flirt with people of any gender. And yeah, I think it's like it's empowering.
Non-binary heads, where you at?
I think she just like has a way of like she's just so confident in herself, but like not necessarily in a way that like closes other people off from her. Like she's very inviting.
I don't know about that. She in the Australia versus the world, another person literally says, I try to talk to Parvati, and she said, well, I don't want to be seen together.
I mean, okay, yes, that's true, but the thing about Parvati is that like she like there's a reason why she's won twice and almost won a third time. Like she's really adept at what she does, and at that moment she knows that she doesn't need to talk to Lisa. She knows that Suri has a really good relationship with Lisa, and Suri is Parvati's number one. So just because she can have really good relationships with everyone doesn't mean she has to. At the end of the day, like she knows that her game is going to shine through, that her connections are going to be what matters the most, because Suri is trying the game where she's like keeping the internationals together.
You know, attraction is such an interesting thing to me. As everything you have said to me and everything I've seen about Parvati is that like there's skill there. There is an aptitude there. There's also a pretty face there, right? What I don't really understand is how is all that translated to wanting to. I don't think anyone lives in my mind like that, honestly. Like I don't think I have a crush on anyone that like doesn't exist in my immediate vicinity, right? Like if I haven't met you in Chicago, I probably don't have a crush on you.
Well, I have met Parvati in Chicago.
And how'd that go?
It went really well. She sat on my lap.
And when that happened, were you like, wait, like when that happened, did she invite herself?
Yes. Yeah, she basically like we were taking pictures, and at first like each of my friends got a photo with her, and then I got a photo with her. I complimented her necklace. She complimented my outfit. I put my arm around her while we took pictures. And then I was like, this is my gay survivor friend group. And then we talked about that for a bit. And then I was like, can all of us take a picture with you? And she's like, yeah. And then because there was more of us, we had to like rearrange. And I was sitting on the throne, and then she said, she was like, can I sit down in your lap? And I was like, yeah. And then she did. And then we took a picture. The rest is history.
Nice. And you haven't washed your lap since.
Yeah, I mean, look, men don't need to understand the appeal of Parvati. Like, she's not really for men anymore. Like, she's kind of moved on. She's for the queer.
She's evolved.
She's evolved.
She's a fifth dimensional imp.
Yeah, I mean, Parvati can flirt with a man and then throw him in the trash, and we love her for that.
I'm also like jealous of you for like having this kind of like depth of like interest in just someone like that. Like I'm trying to think of the figures that I've been like horny for in the past, and like I struggled a little bit because it's been just a while, right? But I think about Brie Larson.
Yeah,
beautiful woman, absolutely beautiful, great actor, incredible talent just all around. I haven't thought about Brie Larson up until this sentence. Or like the same thing with like, there's a Mexican singer like Jimena Sarellana who is very cute, great singer, great artist, very charismatic, real fun like figure to think about. I also have not thought about her up until this sentence. And like, I like knowing that like there is this way of like being continuously infatuated with someone. I love that. And I'm also jealous. I wish I had it.
I mean, I don't think it's like necessary to like have a good life to be infatuated with celebrities, but yeah, I don't know. I think that Parvati, I'm really happy that like she continues to be on our TVs. I don't know what she's gonna do next now that she's I feel like she's really cemented her legacy. Although I did send you the photos. Basically, a lot of people are contesting her legacy because they're saying, "Oh, well, she won Australian Survivor, and that was only a 16-day game, and therefore it doesn't count. So you can't call her a 2-time winner." That's like what's been in the discourse a lot lately, especially on Jeff Probst's podcaster. He's just like us. He had on
Jeff, where you at? Where you at, brother?
He has Jeremy Collins this season, who won one season of the U.S. Survivor, and Jeff asked Jeremy like, "Oh, is Parvati a 2-time winner? Does the Australian Survivor win count?" And he said no, and that caused a big shitstorm online. And that's how it circled
the millionth mark against Jeff Probst.
That's how it circled all the way back to Las Culturistas, is that they were talking on the podcast with Sarah Paulson for some reason about Survivor. And
what do you mean for some reason? Sarah Paulson, if you're interested, come on to the pod.
Yeah, I think it's just very funny to like go through all those pictures and then suddenly Sarah Paulson's there at the end. But yeah, basically, like the Las Culturistas were like defending Parvati, and so basically it's like part of the zeitgeist defending Parvati, or talking about whether she's a real 2-time winner or not. So I think for a lot of people she's cemented her legacy, but at the same time it feels like there's this people in power are like, this doesn't count because it's not real. Only 39 days Survivor is what counts.
That's some real like Stephen A. Smith against LeBron James like conversation. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like there is physical evidence that shows that LeBron James is the GOAT, and also Poverty. So like a 16-day season, what does that really mean? Like, did they not have to like deliver subterfuge anyway? Like, I don't understand this level of purity either. I would much rather be horny for a long time, like you, to Poverty, than be on the internet yelling about who should or should not be considered a 2-time champion. Like that makes keep that to yourself.
Yeah, I feel like there's this,
I spit on your face.
There's like a lot of different discourses of like Australia versus US Survivor and what counts and what doesn't count. And there's people who are like 26 days doesn't count, but 16 days does count because they enjoyed Australia versus the world. So there's some weird stuff going on, and it's more nuanced than that. It would take hours to go into, but there is kind of one conversation I want to get into, in which is that in that Las Culturistas video, it would Matt Owens, is that his name? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he said like, oh, and I think Australian Survivor is produced better than US Survivor, and US Survivor is getting worse, and I don't think it's going to get better. And I think at this point, like Australia versus the World, Titans versus Rebels, yes, those seasons are better than the majority of the New Era US seasons. But I feel like some nuance gets lost when we just say Australian Survivor is better than US Survivor. And I think a big reason why is because of race, where for Australian Survivor, the vast majority of the people cast are white. Like the casting feels very homogenous for race. And there are like people will say, oh, well, US Survivor, yeah, like they did institute the quota for race, but also it's too many super fans and there's not enough diversity in professions. And I think that like you can like make some critiques of the US casting, but I think just saying, oh, Australian Survivor is better and like ending it there, I think we have to be able to take the best of both worlds and not just like acquiesce to the show that has like, you know, such white casting that JLP had to say in an interview in 2019 the show is very white, and be like, well, I'm not an executive producer, so there's nothing I can do about it.
JLP said Australia Survivor so white.
Yeah, he did.
I remember some of the first conversations we had about Survivor, because Survivor is new to your life, and I kind of made a little bit of a comment to be like, oh, let me guess. All the black people get voted out first. And then you hit me with the truth ray that was, yeah, in the beginning, that was a very common thing. And I'm like, that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks. I can't imagine wanting to see a show with a level of like homogeneity that produces like what more space for someone that looks like you, I guess, to win $1 million. Like what? I don't understand it. Like the United States is like 13% like black. Do you know Latinos are a similar percentage? Like the United States is still overwhelmingly, well, it's like the majority white. In Australia's like also a very like multicultural country. Check this out. Australia did not have white people there a couple of 100 years ago. But what it did have is Aboriginal people, Pacific Islander people, like people traveling from Southeast Asia or from the Indian Ocean. Like there is reason to go to Australia, and there was massive trade lines through that whole area. They created a multicultural state. And one of the things that I felt when watching this, the Australian Survivor, it's not the homogeneity as much as I think because it is that homogenous, I think that's why Kirby stood out to me way more.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of why I gravitated towards her more. Do I want her to sit on my face like you? I will refrain from being a man on mic talking like that. But it does suck.
Yeah. And I think there's like a few things here. One is that US Survivor instituted a quota of there has to be at least 50% people of color on a cast starting in 2021. And this was something that they had to be pressured on. Like black contestants got together and they had conversations with the executive producers about what needs to happen. And that's why those changes were made. And meanwhile, you have a lot of fans who are like, oh, we have to go back to the old seasons. And it's like, oh,
where we got to burn a cross at the beach.
And I think a lot of the we have to go back to the old seasons have shifted into we have to make things more like Australian Survivor. And I think like there's the root is like there's a racism root in both of those. Like I think that there are things from Australian Survivor that I do want to be brought over to the US Survivor, but I think it can't just be as simple as like we have to make it more like this version of Survivor where there's more white people.
And it would be nice to also see like a variety in also like gender presentation. Like every single person in the Australian like Survivor was effectively like gender conforming, which is like, I don't know everybody's details, right? But nobody was walking around with a mullet, a mustache, and using, she, they pronouns. And honestly, I would like that. Give me the gender non-conforming Survivor.
Yeah, we've had a few trans mask contestants on Survivor, including one of the most infamous moments where a contestant got outed in the Game Changer season. But yeah, I would love some more gender non-conforming people on the show. I have actually thought about it that like there are some difficulties for trans femme people to be on the show unless like you've gotten like, well, I guess the thing about it is that regardless of gender, a lot of contestants get laser so they don't have to worry about shaving. But like, yeah, I would love to have more trans and gender non-conforming contestants.
And that would be better than like just saying like, oh, we need a gay survivor, because gay survivor can be found at every Friday night in every gay bar in every city in the United States.
And of course, the first winner of Survivor was Richard Hatch, who's gay. And I feel like that was like one of the things where like it kind of set the tone for the show, where like no one expected that a gay man who runs around naked would win the show, and then he did.
I didn't. I have just learned this right here, right now, and you know what? Gay people make history.
Yeah, they absolutely do. We better not to look too far into Richard Hatch's Wikipedia page if you want to start standing him. But
okay, well, woke 2.0 has not arrived yet, but it's getting here.
Yeah, I mean, there's the tax evasion, there's the inappropriate touching in All-Star season. There's a lot going on there.
Okay, I didn't need. Okay, all right. I don't stand anyone.
Australian Survivor, I'm definitely gonna keep watching. I feel like I become somewhat of a completionist. I watched all 49 seasons of U.S. Survivor.
She is more Survivor than anything right now.
Yeah, so I need to catch up on the remaining Australian Survivor seasons. Not the first two that aired like in the 2000s. Those aren't canon, but I need to see All Stars. I need to see Heroes versus Villains. I need to see what all the hype is about with George. I need to see some of the bad seasons of Australian Survivor, because then I can really have an informed opinion. Like everyone says, Blood versus Water is like one of the worst seasons across any Survivor. So yeah, do you see yourself ever watching Australian Survivor again?
No.
Yeah, I saw that one coming.
I will say I have committed to watching American Survivor season 50 with you because I'm a good friend, and also because I just need a little bit of an example of like, what is this? What do you like about this?
Yeah,
and because it's season 50, it's gonna be the best of the best. Like, I'm gonna watch it. You know, will we chit chat about it on mic? Maybe. Will I veto it sometimes? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be the type of thing where it just randomly comes up in a conversation while we're on mic. But yeah, I'm excited that you'll be watching season 50, and we'll get to talk about all the discourse around it. You'll get to see Surrey again, and I'm glad that you watched some Australian Survivor.
And I have already marked my horse for this season 50, which is Mike White.
Ooh.
I want to see that boy win. And if he doesn't win, well, my heart just breaks. Whatever, simple.
You want the guy who's already rich to win.
Yeah, I like a winner. What? Let the rich be richer. Is that too much to ask? We're both millionaires. Like what? What would it matter?
And Nomi is the richest of us all. Yeah, I think this is a good chance to transition into Hopecast, our favorite segment where we talk about something that's giving us hope in this dark time. Why don't you start? There
has been so much travesty and horror trying to find hope has been, it's almost as if I want to be illusioned, because I struggle to find hope. What I will say that the only thing that brings me hope these days is the understanding that I am still here, that I survived a lot over the last year, and that part of that includes the occupation of Chicago that currently is supposedly winding down, probably before it winds up a lot in spring. But what I do know is that I am still here, that I can still find a space to develop people power, and to do that not just with me and my co-host and our larger constellation of friends, but with the massive amount of people that stood up and said, fuck ICE, chinga la migra. I will carry a whistle. I will yell. I will disrupt. I will protest. So, as someone who has been in the political game for such a long time, in the last 3 months, I have felt an energy in Chicago that says, I want more. And I want to join that cacophony. And that is the thing that brings me hope.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely want to +1 that. And I feel like my Hopecast is similar. That I think the narrative after Trump won was, what are you going to do under fascism? What will you tell your kids about what you did during this time? And I feel like there was a lot of dismay about how little was being done. And, I saw people post on Bluesky like, it's okay that you're not doing as much as you thought you'd do. The important thing is to just do something. And I feel like now the narrative has shifted to what you're saying of people are doing like a lot of shit. People are standing up for their neighbors against ICE. And I think that what gives me hope is just like this renewed love of humanity, that like it can be very easy to think like, oh, the world is dying and humanity lost, but thing is we still got a lot within us, and I think we're gonna win.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for listening to Dove Weather, where we have Marcy, the return.
Ooh, the
Marcy,
tribe has spoken.
Marcy, it's wonderful to have you back on mic.
Thank you. Thank you for holding the house down while I was out. And thank you to all our wonderful guests that you booked on the podcast.
And I can tell you right here, right now, dear listener, 2025 might be in its last whispers before it gets voted out. But we have the immunity idol, and we're gonna use it when it comes to us. Because we're gonna continue to pod. And you can find us on Instagram
and TikTok
and Bluesky
and YouTube,
all at Dove Weather.
Yeah. We've been podcasting for 2 years and we're not going to stop.
We're here. We pod. Get used to it.
That's right.
Bye.
Bye.